I don't talk a lot of politics, but I consume a ton of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, nobody wants to watch Bill Maher give football picks. And I don't think anybody really cares deeply about my political opinion. Stephen A. Smith has moved into it, which he's a friend and I'm happy for him. But I consume a ton of it.
Can I confess that resent's the wrong word. I feel like Stephen A. Smith is using politics and I don't like it. But that's just, that's what it looks to me.
Yeah, no, I've had people say that to me. He didn't ask my opinion. I said on a text to him not long ago, I said, never forget, there are winners and losers in sports, and that's a great thing. You set goals, you finish first, you get a trophy. Nobody wins. Even if your policies were great, somebody will fabricate or marginalize it. There are no winners long term. You can be the most popular president. 8 years later in a podcast, you will be deemed wildly controversial. And I said, never forget, is that sports is a community and politics is a Shark Tank. And he's like, okay, I'll remember that. The next day he was talking politics. But I like the joy and the energy. In sports, it's less gray. First place, last. Winner, loser. Heisman, runner-up.
Well, it's also a pure meritocracy. It's more of a meritocracy than any other part of life.
Yeah. So, but I consume a ton of politics and find it fascinating. It's the first stuff I read is the Times, the Journal, and the Atlantic.
I miss the joy of it. I used to say that, Hubert Humphrey's memoir was called The Politics of Joy. And I always loved that, which is, hey, look, I still enjoy it. Unfortunately now, the way Trump practices it, it has made it less joyful, right? It has just sucked the joy out of it, both left and right in different ways. And, try having a light moment in a political show and it's like, you're not being serious or it has become what used to be really easy to sort of have some levity in a political discussion. It's been really hard in the Trump era. Look at political comedians. They have a hard time.
Yeah.
We didn't have any problem with political comedians from 2015, before 2015. And here we are today.
Yeah, I think Maher and Jon Stewart have done a pretty good job to still make me laugh while they deliver it, but it's hard. It's just a different world. I mean, listen, I knew it was different when, regardless of what you think of Trump, when he started weaponizing, it was called Twitter. And I just remember thinking, wait a minute, this is a president. And from that moment on, it was like fair game. He would go after you, you could go after him. And I always looked at that as, I'm not sure how comfortable I am with it, but apparently lots of people in politics are. And like everybody else, I try not to go, I try to really monitor my usage. But I think society's a little more coarse than it used to be. But I also think, Chuck, there is a distinction. We do forget. I watch a lot of true crime. And, we forget there are fewer serial killers today than in the 60s, 70s, 80s. People used to hitchhike. There are parts of our society that are much less coarse. I mean, AI is going to give us medical advances. People will not die in pain as much this point forward for the rest of our lives. So I do think sometimes if I have a criticism of the media, that it's sometimes a bit neurotic and a bit hyperbolic. And especially as the media has gotten, you say we're old guys, the media is younger because they're cheaper. And as it's become more corporatized, you don't want to pay that anchor $6 million, $8 million. You'd rather pay $800,000. So I think my biggest criticism on all of this, what did Obama say about Trump? He's not the cause. He's a
symptom. Yeah.
He's a symptom. And I just think it's part of it.
Oh, yeah.
That the media often inflames something. I mean, the Sydney Sweeney's a non-story. It really is a non-story. And the media fed into it.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is a pet peeve of mine. The phrase, the media. I get this, the media.
Yeah.
Who's the media? When you say the media, what are you referring to? Like, I think I know, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it, but I'd sit there and say, I get this stuff, the media, and I'm like, hey, man, Fox is the media. YouTube's the media. There's a lot of, it it
No,
is harder for, it's harder for me to accept the premise of quote unquote, was Sydney Sweeney a story that mainstream media overreacted and manufactured? Or was it a right-wing meme that was trolling left-wingers who I'd never heard of, who they elevated and turned it into a left-right thing, right? Like, and by the way, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think the media, remember when we were young, it's expanded.
Yeah.
When we were young, there was no sports talk radio when I was 15. I mean, maybe WIP or WFAN.
I
not as a
remember
West
when
Coast kid.
WFAN happened, everybody's like, oh, this is not going to work. Remember, all sports all the time. And I remember as a kid, I was probably 15 or 16. What was that, 84, 85, right? And I remember being so jealous. Oh, my God, they have an all-sports radio station. I hope Miami gets one. That's all I was, like, cared about.
Yes.
I wanted what New York had. That WFAN, I wanted that,
Even though WFAN was the first big one, Imus did the mornings for years. They wouldn't even give the mornings to sports. They're like, Imus will make the money. You guys go yell at each other in the afternoon, right?
Right.
So I think but it used to be, when I was growing up, there was no sports talk radio, so the fan had little chance for an opinion. In fact, where the fan really did well was letters to the editor in your local sports section. And by the way, some of the greatest lines ever produced in a newspaper were fans writing letters to the editor on Saturday in the LA Times, because it's a city of comedy writers. I mean, it was just, I would read it and think, I could just start a sports section on people who write letters to the sports section in the LA Times.
That's funny.
But what I think has happened with the media, it's expanded. Podcasting now counts as media. Fans now, blogs now count as media. So I think it's not blurred, it's just expanded. So I'm probably lost. But I tend to look at the media as more corporate and more established. I think the podcasters have their say, but I don't think it's as fact checked. They don't have the assignment desk. Who are they called out by? You're often motivated to be blurry and be conspiratorial. Where in our business, like I just can't make stuff up. I can make a mistake, but I can't make stuff up on FS1.
Well, I would think you don't want to make stuff up anywhere you are.
That's right. That's right.
Right. It shouldn't really matter. I mean, in some ways, the only thing that matters is that, we came from an environment that, put in all these guardrails. And we've learned how to use those guardrails to make sure we're producing content that isn't, that frankly is consumable. It's honest, it's transparent, it's, fact-checked, et cetera. So in that sense, I think that's probably going to be a distinction going forward, is that there'll be this in the world of YouTube. There are those that that sort of have some sort of fact-checking or whatever you want to call it, versus those that'll be less professional.
Yeah, and I think, how the saying is, separate the art from the artist, right? I kind of consider it media and casual media. Like there is a Chuck Todd, or there is NBC, or there's CNN. Whether I agree with, they lean left, they lean right. There is what I would call like traditional media, and then there's sort of like casual media, which is the standards are different, but I do think they present interesting ideas. I mean, I listen to podcasts, I watch TikTok, I have been inspired. It makes me think of a rant, it jars something. So I'm not real hypercritical of it. I just think I'm not going to source them. I don't necessarily trust them, but I will be honest, Chuck, COVID to today, I read even the New York Times and the Atlantic. Not cynically, but with more suspicion. COVID to today, I don't trust traditional media. And I always thought I was a kind of left-leaning, moderate, moderate conservative, is I don't look at the traditional media. That's supposed to be fact-based. I don't look at it quite the same as I used to. I still consume it, but I feel differently when I'm doing it.